Welcome to Whether or Not and to What Degree podcast. That's always a mouthful. I am First Alert Chief Meteorologist Kendra Kent, joined by First Alert Meteorologist Bryan Bachman to talk a little bit about winter weather. And we had to start by talking about how little we've had lately, especially since you've been here. You've been our good luck charm.
I've been a snow repellent, I suppose.
Yeah, we had the big snow back in, I guess it was 2021, and then it was back in January, and then you arrived that February, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I missed that snowstorm, the last big one, by I think it was like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It happened right before I got here.
And it was basically a once in a decade snow for us too. So we
6 inches, right?
Yeah,
Greenville
we got a big
area?
one. I mean, it just depends. I think just north of Greenville got like 8. To me, it was a big one for us. And our average snow is around 4.5 inches for a season.
You know, 2 years down here, I'm still not used to that. Like, I hear a number like
That's
that, and
just
I go,
one event in
wow,
Saginaw.
that sounds like paradise. That's like half a month. You know, once you get average up there is something like 40.
That's wild.
And there are so many years that you blow that completely out of the water. Lake effect snow, different storms. Yeah, so that's been one of the bigger adjustments since I've made the move here to the southeast.
Well, there's a chance that things could be changing. So one of the tasks that I've had over the last month has been kind of looking at our past El Nino years, at what we're going to be up against, and coming up with a winter weather forecast. And we've been talking about this. El Nino typically brings a more active winter. Now, does that translate to more snow? Not always.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, we could have a bunch of rain, which would be a great thing for us this winter, honestly.
Yeah, we're a little over 7 inches now below average just for the fall season alone. That's why the drought's been getting so bad.
Yeah, I think Chrissy found out that this is the driest fall on record so far.
Wow.
Again, we haven't finished it. There's a chance we could get some really big rains before the end of November, but and maybe even next week. And we'll be talking more about that. We're taping this before Thanksgiving, in case you're watching it before. So this winter, it's hard to say the snow lovers will be happy.
Yeah.
But I do think that we have a much better chance this winter. Let's get a look at the graphics. I'll kind of show you what I'm thinking in very basic terms here. With El Nino winters, we typically are cooler than normal. Now, it's not because we get these big Arctic outbreaks. It's usually just because we get more cloud cover. We have more showers. We just tend to see not as big of a diurnal range in temperature. So I don't expect necessarily the extreme cold like what we had last Christmas, say. But those cool, cloudy days certainly I think will be more numerous. Now, there will be more opportunities for rain and snow. With the more active pattern, more active jet stream, I think rain and snow will be a bigger possibility. And I did the math on it, comparing regular years versus El Nino years. We get 45% more snow in El Nino years.
Okay.
But
so,
I mean, it
leans a little more into that favorability, if that's what you're looking for.
But again, it's one of those, if you looked at the graph or of all the numbers I was tabulating some big numbers, but there were also some zeros on El Nino years.
Some years, where it's like, it seems El Nino here in the southeast behaves more like what La Nina did, in my experience, up in the Great Lakes. La Nina years were usually the ones where it could go either way. You could have a incredibly snowy, bitterly cold winter, or you could have a very mild winter, whereas, down here it's a bit more in that category for El Nino, so just those differences.
Yeah, absolutely. And really the big difference maker for us is having that cold air line up with these systems, because I do think that we're going to get that train of systems that comes out of the Gulf. We're going to have, again, more opportunities for snow, but the caveat to all of this, or the good thing anyway, would be either way. I do think this is a really good pattern for us to have in place with the drought that has settled in.
Either way, because if you get the snow, once that snow melts, you get the advantage of all that liquid that was trapped in the snow, so that anything we can get. I know it feels like we've been saying that for weeks. That's the fallback phrase, but I mean, we are so far behind just in the drought so far that whether it's rain or snow, either way, at least that hopefully will be helpful.
Yeah, and try to remember those beautiful fall days when we're in the middle of January and it's just like 40 degrees and raining, and this is just a graphic to kind of give you an idea of what exactly El Nino is. We've been referencing this a good bit. Have not had it in place, a strong one, since 2016.
It's been a long time. And we had 3 La Nina years, I believe, in a row. That's
We've had quite
unusual.
a number. Yep. And so that usually keeps us a little bit calmer. But La Nina, like we talked about, it can go either way for us. So you can have a big year or really quite nothing. And we had a La Nina year 2021 that brought us a good bit. But anyway, El Nino is when the trade winds actually reverse and we end up with that warmer water pooling in the eastern Pacific. And I remember in meteorology classes thinking, how in the world does that affect our weather? But with that change in temperature, it affects how the atmosphere behaves. It actually kicks up that subtropical jet stream, and that's what is key for us. Really, everything else farther north, that doesn't affect us as much. It's really more having an active pattern down south, because those Gulf lows, those are the ones that, around here people say, well, if the snow comes from Atlanta, we're going to get the snow. If it's coming from Knoxville or up to the north, we're not going to get it. We need those systems to be coming up from the south and west, bringing all that moisture. So that's why we expect that pattern to be, a little bit stronger, and it's going to be a fairly strong El Nino year. At least that's what the forecast is. It's not always right on, but
right. And it really does kind of go to show you the link between the oceans and how it can affect weather on a global scale. It's all, kind of two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, and it's El Nino's no forecast. It's just basically a very large scale pattern that just gives us this little bit of insight into what we can expect this winter. So if you want more information, you can check out our YouTube channel where I have my winter weather outlook. But essentially just saying that we're going to have more opportunities. I'm not promising snow this year, but I think if I were a betting person, I would say we have a much better chance in a year like this than in others. So we'll see what happens. I know my kids are pulling for it.
More storms, more chances.
Exactly.
Got to be in it to win it. Is that the phrase?
Exactly. And there's bound to be cold air at some point mixing in with that.
Yeah.
So,
we had that shot mid-November, or early November. Losing track of time. Either way.
Exactly.
We've already had a couple, so you never know.
Just got to get them to line up. Well, thank you for joining us for our podcast. You can always reach out to us to give us suggestions on future topics. And of course, be sure to check out his Moment of Science that airs just about weekly on Fox Carolina. It's where we go more in depth on other issues, things that aren't always even weather related, sometimes planetary. So
we're fans of space.
Yes, we are.
Fans of space.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us again, and we'll see you soon.